everyone, and welcome to Kite Reviews. My name's Gordon, and today we're going to be looking at this SkyDog Kite's 20-foot rainbow dragon kite. Just a couple of facts and figures about this kite. You can find it, I bought it at Kitty Hawk Kites, actually in person, out on the Outer Banks, but you can also find it at kittyhawkkites.com, or almost anywhere that you can find good kites. It's a pretty common one. And it goes for about $29.99, and for that you get the kite, you get the packaging, which we'll talk about, and you get a reel with some lines. So it is ready to fly from the package, which I think is great for getting people into kites. It comes in this package, like I said, and we just pull out the kite, and the kite is fully assembled. Normally there would be a reel in here. It's a pretty small one. And with that, you would attach this, and then you would fly it. Most commonly, though, I end up flying this kite with one of these reels. This is from Amazon, about $20. I think these things are worth their weight in gold. And maybe we can talk about them in a further review, but I think they're great. I believe they're an Into the Wind product. Anyway, this is a kite here, but before we get into the kite, I want to talk about the packaging a little bit. One of the things about kites, unlike most of my other hobbies, people who know me know that I'm not really into packaging, but in kites I am into packaging, because, you know, our kite bags get full. If you do this for any length of time, you got 5, 6, 7 dozens of kites in some cases, and you need to keep them separate, but in as close to flyable condition as possible. Keep them protected, and easy to carry. And so packaging is actually secretly kind of an important factor in my opinion. And for this, SkyDogs does a pretty good job. It's ripstop nylon on the back here with some sort of clear plastic that holds the whole kite, the reel, and the tails. So I'm a big fan of this packaging. I think that this is pretty adequate for what it does. As you can see, it is taking a little bit of a beating because I've used this kite many times. So I've packed it up and unpacked it a million times. And it does seem to be holding up. So let's take a look at the kite itself. I prefer kites to really embrace their kiteness. I'm not a big fan of themed kites, and this one that's a big reason why I like this kite. It really embraces the rainbow. Color scheme. It has a 20-foot tail with big color patches. So even if you're flying it very high, you can tell that it's a rainbow color. So I love the way it looks. Like I said, it comes fully assembled, which I think is a big perk actually, both for new kite flyers, children, and also those of us here who fly in maybe not the perfect kite weather. When it's 75 degrees and you're at the beach, taking 5 minutes to assemble a kite is maybe not that big of a deal. But when you're like me in Minnesota in the depths of January, and it's 20 degrees outside and you've hiked a half mile out onto a frozen lake to go fly kites, you would prefer to not spend that 5 minutes with your gloves off assembling a kite in the snow. And so kites like this are great like that because they just come out, we just clip the reel on. You could even put the reel in the bag clipped all together, and then literally you just pull it out in one go. And so that just really makes it easy to fly in all sorts of conditions. Speaking of conditions, the factory recommendation for this kite is 8 to 25 miles an hour. I've definitely flown it in more than 25 miles an hour worth of wind. I don't know if I've ever flown it in less than 8. I would really consider this kite to be in its element in the middle to high end wind conditions. It's not necessarily going to be your low wind flyers like your big deltas and things like that. And so it really shines though in those high wind conditions. In those conditions that big delta is going to crank your arm off and you're going to be exhausted by the end. In those high wind conditions, it flies really great. It has very little pull, and so it's great for children for that reason as well. Great for new people in general. So I love this kite. For me, in a medium to high wind situation, this is an always fly for me. I will always try it out. both because it's easy to get out of the package, it's easy to keep assembled, it's easy to keep at the ready, and because it flies so well in so many different conditions. It does have a little bit of a wiggle to it. You can see on the video here that it wiggles quite a bit, which is really fun and exciting. However, it can take a little bit of management on the line. It is pretty sensitive to the tension on the line. So if you let the tension get too slack or you let it get too tight, it will wobble more or less. And so you just kind of got to manage it a little bit. It's probably not my go-to kite if I'm planning to stake a bunch of kites and, like, you know, do that thing. This is more of an active management kite where I will hand this to a friend or I'll fly it myself and it will be the kite that I'm flying. You know, those kind of days. So it's really great for that though, and it's beautiful. And the only other thing besides getting a reel that I would recommend with this kite is that in high wind, it doesn't have an attachment for more tail, but as you can see, like I've done here, I just square knot some extra ribbon on the back to give it even more tail for those really high wind conditions. And that helps it just calm down a little bit and not be so dive bomby and things like that. So with that all said, like I said, this isn't always fly for me. I think it's priced well, I think it's built well, I think it's packaged well. I'm a big fan of this kite. This is a great kite. So if you liked the review, if you didn't like the review, maybe don't post it. But if you like the review, please spread it around. Please subscribe to the page, and we'll be doing more of these kite reviews. When I was getting into kites, I was looking for content like this that was like kite specific, but also kind of general kiting tips, and I just wasn't finding that kind of content. And that isn't criticism of any other kite creators. I subscribe to almost all of you. You guys are great. This is how I interpret information, and so I know there's other people like that, and so I figured if I can't find that content, I should make that content for people. So that's what I plan to do here. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the page, and if you don't, sorry for wasting your time. Alright, thanks for your time. I'm Gordon from Kite Reviews, and you have a good one.